They stared straight into the camera and told people that a stainless steel watch was a smarter investment than property. They promised prices could only go higher. They sold the idea that luxury watches were a financial shield against economic collapse. And when the market collapsed, those same voices quietly erased their old videos, wiped their predictions, and left everyday buyers holding massive losses. This video breaks down how a wave of online personalities took over the watch industry, how they used hype to unload overpriced inventory onto their audience, and how the crash that followed destroyed real wealth. If you like unfiltered truth about the luxury world, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. For most of modern history, people bought luxury watches for one simple reason. They liked them. They admired the craftsmanship, the engineering, or the heritage behind the brand. That all began to change around 2016, and then exploded after 2020. A new story was sold to the public, that watches were no longer accessories, but financial instruments. That story didn't happen by accident. It was engineered, and it worked because it tapped into the most dangerous force in any market: speculation. Before this shift, buying a watch from a major brand was straightforward. You could walk into a boutique and buy most models without begging or waiting. That changed when certain steel sports watches started trading for more than their retail price almost immediately after release. Once people realized you could flip a watch for a profit, the door was opened for mass speculation. A secondary resale economy grew rapidly. This is where independent sellers, not brand-approved retailers, began operating online. Instead of focusing on craftsmanship, they focused on lifestyle. Their content wasn't about mechanics or history. It was about cash, cars, private jets, and flashy deals. The message was clear. Watches meant money. By the late 2010s, these sellers weren't just participating in the market, they were shaping it. Prices were set publicly through videos and social feeds. When multiple popular sellers repeated the same price, it became accepted as reality, even if demand didn't justify it. Then came the pandemic. Travel stopped. Money flooded the system. Interest rates dropped. People had spare cash and nothing to spend it on. Online sellers seized the moment and rebranded luxury watches as inflation protection. They compared them to gold. They told people their savings were safer inside a watch than in a bank. This thinking reached absurd levels by early 2022. At the top of the frenzy, people were being told to move serious money out of traditional assets and into watches. Steel models that cost around $14,000 at retail were being pushed for over $50,000. Others climbed even higher. It wasn't about horology anymore, it was about social proof. Owning an overpriced watch became a signal that you were part of an elite club. The more you paid, the more successful you appeared. But markets don't rise forever. When global interest rates began to rise and speculative money dried up, the bubble burst. Prices fell quickly, and that's when the truth about the watch market was exposed. During the boom, buyers were told watches were liquid, easy to sell for cash at any time. But when prices started dropping, the same sellers who promoted the investments stopped buying. They protected themselves and left customers stuck. People who tried to sell were offered far less than they paid, if anyone would even make an offer at all. Those who bought near the peak lost enormous sums. Some lost more than the price of a new car on a single watch. Others saw six-figure collections collapse in value, and the problems went deeper. The lack of regulation in the resale world also attracted criminals. Several high-profile dealers were later exposed for running frauds, misusing customer funds, or selling fake or altered watches while presenting themselves as experts. Some built luxury lifestyles using client money. Others sold counterfeit products while claiming to educate the public on authenticity. Trust was shattered. After the collapse, something interesting happened. The content changed. Videos promoting watches as investments disappeared. Channels that once pushed buy now messaging suddenly shifted to educational documentaries. Personalities tried to rebrand and move on. The market eventually stabilized, but at much lower prices. Speculators left. Only true enthusiasts remained. The damage, however, was already done. Huge amounts of money had moved from everyday buyers to resellers who profited from hype rather than value. Here is the reality no one wants to admit. A watch is a mechanical object that tells time. It is a luxury item. It is not a financial asset. It does not generate income. It does not guarantee appreciation. Brands produce huge volumes every year. The idea of rarity was manufactured through hoarding and online hype. If you buy a watch, buy it because you love it, not because someone online told you it was an investment. The people selling you that story usually have inventory to move. The era of influencer-driven watch speculation is over, but the lessons should never be forgotten. If you bought during the peak, did you hold or sell? Let me know.